Hey everybody, I wanted to do something unique in Legend of Dragoon that I haven't seen on here yet. By clicking on this video, you likely already get the gist of what I'm going for. I'm going to be using a program called the Dragoon Modifier by Zychronics. This is a program that lets you modify Legend of Dragoon and do some really neat stuff. It gives you the ability to make a lot of quality of life changes, like the option to see how much health an enemy has left, the ability to swap Dart out of your party, lets you play the game on hard and hell mode, which are really great challenges for any serious fan of the game. What it also lets you do is add and remove party members at will. So I'll be taking everyone out of my party except for Dart, and I'm eager to see what kind of challenges this presents since I've never tried anything like this. I've always wondered if it's even possible. So, without further ado, let's see if it is. The opening portion of the game doesn't vary at all since the challenge doesn't officially start until we meet Lavitz. It should be noted that I assume that if you're watching this and everything, you know what the game is about, the story and mechanics and so on. So I won't be going too far into explaining how the game works, but I will touch on it here and there. Anyways, we breeze through the first couple battles and then we walk through the forest before arriving at Helena Prison. We move through the first couple of battles and then we get acquainted with Lavitz. Now after this short segment happens, we're supposed to have Lavitz here in the party for this fight. But since I have solo mode turned on, he's not here. This presents the first major issue with the challenge. With only Dart on the field, he is the only target for the enemies to attack. And this leads to Dart being whacked in the head repeatedly by all the guards. Just constantly just getting attacked. The good thing about Dart being the only player is that he is getting all the experience, and the experience is not being shared with the active party members. So theoretically, he should level up at the rate of 3 times as fast. This sounds like a great thing, and it is a great thing, but it's still way too early to tell if this pro will outweigh the con of just having one person. We grab Shayna and head out of the prison. Since we're doing a solo run, we don't need any Angel's Prayers, so we can sell any that we do have. Unfortunately, on the way out, the merchant no longer sells potions, so the very first boss fight is going to be done without any extra healing apart from the guard feature. The frugal fight dishes out a lot of heavy hits, so we have to really watch the health and guard often. I was worried about the first boss fight since it's essentially a 5-on-1, but it goes by without too much trouble. The prairie goes by uneventfully. The only thing of note here is that common enemies attack Dart really fast, and he gets really smacked around. The limestone cave gives us a few really useful items, like a better sword, the poison guard, and another bandana, so we can give Dart the helmet that Lavitz is currently wearing. The next big moment of the game is the snake boss, Eurobulus, which has been jokingly pointed out as being a misspelling or mistranslation. The boss fight went great, the poison guard helped a lot. Unfortunately, as soon as the battle was over, the game crashed. This presented a serious issue, but thankfully I figured out why this happened. Due to the cutscene happening in real time and not being pre-rendered, the game crashed due to Lavitz and Shayna not being detected. So the workaround that I did was I added them back into the party and let a couple of commons take them out. This way, as soon as the boss fight started again, the boss can kill them easily since they have 1 HP each. So we let them get knocked out, beat the snake again, and success, the cutscene plays perfectly fine, and we are off to Bale. Bale is a very dialogue-heavy area and plot-building section, so nothing special note happens here except for finally being able to visit a shop and do some item management. We sell all the Angel's Prayers, talk to King Albert, go down his slide, visit Mrs. Slambert, and we leave for Hoax. Since we're not collecting Stardust or getting the healing breeze that's up in the barn, we're in and out of Bale just like that. On the way to Hoax, it occurs to me of another potential crash due to the next series of battles. Since there's an in-game cutscene following the Kongo battle, I don't want to risk any complications. So I'm adding Lavitz back into the party, and I'm going to let him get knocked out again so he doesn't help out at all. The battle with the Elite goes by without too much excitement. I heard in a YouTube video somewhere that when he clones himself, that only the real one can use magic, so this helps identify him, and it helps the fight go by much easier. I wish I'd known that as a kid, because I remember these 2 fights back-to-back being really challenging. Kongo kills Lavitz immediately, like we wanted, and we knock out Kongo with only a little scare near the end of the fight. Kongo has very low speed, and the game relies on his addition counterattack to make up for that. But the additions this early are still easy enough to get through unless you have a serious goof. After the battle, we get a ton of experience for Dart, and we add Rose to the party, which is awesome because she gives us the ability to use Dart's Dragoon Spirit. In my normal runs, I use Rose the entire time from this point on, so it does feel weird to not have her in the fights from here on out. Something funny to mention, Dart is getting to the point where he's a little over-leveled. Rose is a level 8, and anytime a new member is added to the party, it reflects about where the game expects for you to be at the time. So level 10 doesn't seem like a big jump, but each level up in this game is a major stat upgrade. Unfortunately, this doesn't help us out a whole lot in the marshlands. Dart is a higher level, Dart is higher than the game expects, but that does little favors for us here since the enemies always come in groups of 2 or 3, and they are all so fast. The game really intends to spread the attacks across 3 party members, so Dart's getting smoked by everything. He really struggles here to keep his health up, and it's made worse by the fact that they use ice attacks. Specifically, the commander battle was really rough. We barely ended up making it through it. The Volcano is next. The cons here are the enemies are tanky as hell, and they all like to use stun attacks, or the salamanders do at least, which is really annoying with a single party member. But on the plus side, Dart is fire resistant, and nearly all the magic attacks here are dealing fire damage. The area is home to 2 bosses, Virage and Phoenix the Firebird. Virage is up first, and he goes down with 4 perfect additions from Dart. And then afterwards, the game thankfully doesn't crash on us, despite having an in-game cutscene. I feel like it's a coin toss whether or not it'll actually do that. I'm still trying to figure out what will actually trigger it, but anyway, the Firebird is fought a couple rooms over, and it too dies after several attacks, like 6 specifically. The experience that we gained from these 2 bosses put Dart another 2 levels up, which we will really need for the next area. Interestingly, the rest of the party is leveling up at a decent rate too, due to the way that experience is shared among the party members outside of the party. In this game, party members outside of the group will gain half of what active characters receive, so they're actually leveling up twice as fast than they would if they were in the party. For example, if a party has 3 people and a boss gives us 3,000 experience, all 3 active players will get 1,000 experience points, and the party pool will get 500 experience points. But since Dart is in the party alone, he gets 3,000 experience points, and the pool gets 1,500. This doesn't help us at all since we can't use the other guys, but it is interesting to point out. I thought the other guys would be underleveled, but at this rate they're going to be higher than they would be during a standard run. The Nest of the Dragon is next, which features a short puzzle with a boss fight at the end. Quick note, I'll probably not mention random encounters after this point unless something funny happens, just because Dart is sweeping them easily. This area is our first double boss, which does present a challenge because they both outspeed me and they attack me at a rate of 4-1. They smack me around a bit, and I decide to target the dragon first because he can give me status effects. And once he's down, I more or less go blow for blow with Graham? Something like that. This battle made things abundantly clear that multi-boss battles are going to be a major issue in this challenge. Even with Dart being above average level, he's taking way too much damage in between turns. After the battle, we get Lavish's Dragoon Spirit, which would normally grant us access to the special option, which transforms everybody into Dragoons at once and guarantees a perfect D attack, but again, this is closed off to us. We go to Lohan to ditch Shayna, we visit a couple of shops, and then we head over to Shirley Shrine. The shrine area has another 2 boss battles that are encountered one after another, and it just made me realize, right now, how many bosses are in this disc. I looked it up, and disc 1 has 14 mandatory bosses. That means excluding the optional bosses later on. This means that there are more bosses in disc 1 than 2 and 3 combined, and only 1 more than in disc 4. So they really throw the bosses at you in this game pretty early on. This area does present an issue due to the nature of the second battle, the one against Shirley. The fight is entirely done with answering prompts, so in an attempt to avoid any issues, I'll bring along Dead Lavitz and Rose, just so it doesn't close me out. And since we don't get a chance to open up the menu between fights, I'm bringing them along for the Drake fight. If you see where they have some SP, that's because I wasn't guarding, and I was letting common enemies take them out before the fight, so I just wanted to address that just in case you thought I was using them. The Drake fight is miserable. So for starters, I had an unexpected crash mid-battle that totally killed my momentum for the day. It wasn't going well anyways. So you're watching footage of the second attempt at him, and he's attacking so quickly, and he puts down bombs so often that it's an uphill battle. It's just a long fight. It's already long, and it's made worse by the fact that he heals once at the halfway point. After a while, we do beat him, and we level up twice for the efforts. The Shirley fight goes by without incident. All you do is heal, guard, answer the questions, and you get some decent experience out of it too. And as soon as it's over, we can kick out these freeloaders and continue our challenge. After the battle, Shirley gives us the White Dragoon spirit, so we take the fast way down out of the shrine, and we head back to Lohan to cure Shayna. In Lohan, we meet up with the Shell, and we're forced into the hero competition by way of peer pressure. Nothing special of note happens here, except for the fact that we take out most of these guys in 2 or 3 attacks. Something cool I found out on this challenge is Lloyd is programmed to have 399 health. You'll never hit him, but that's how much he's got. The fight takes a long time because our health is so high, but he eventually does defeat us. After the fight, we're forced to throw some balls at monkeys before we're allowed to leave. And on the way out the door, we're told that King Albert was kidnapped. So we head back to Helena Prison to rescue him. Before we go, though, look at Hichel's stats here. So we're officially 3 levels above our expected pacing for right now. Something really unfortunate happened on the way to the prison. I ran into a Zero Parts who immediately hit Dart with an insta-kill, which led to a game over screen. And upon loading it back up, I realized I hadn't saved it since after Shirley Shrine. So, that's wonderful. So after healing Shayna again and doing the hero competition again, we finally get to head to Helena Prison. I ended up encountering another Zero Parts, but I used the magic stone on him to freeze him, and I just ran like hell. The prison itself isn't that bad. Dart likely still has a concussion from the first time we were here, but I grabbed the therapy ring and a previously unattainable chest, which is going to help out a lot with this run. This item heals us a little each turn, so I can get ahead of the damage a little bit more easily. Before we can rescue Albert, we have to fight Django in the pit. Some of the textures got really glitchy during this fight, and the boss gave me a serious ass whooping because he confused me and poured on the damage. This led to me sitting here for 10 full turns as Dart attacked himself, while the boss made rocks fall on my head. After the 10 turns are over, the confusion breaks, but the boss just immediately confused me again, and this led to an unbreakable cycle. The therapy ring that I put on is healing me faster than I take damage, and as soon as the game detects that I'm no longer confused, I am just made confused again. So I ended up resetting it to switch things up a little bit. Taking another look at my inventory, I noticed a ring that protects me from being confused, so I put that on and I fall back into the hole. This time around, the fight went great. The boss went down steadily with Dragoon magic, but right at the end of the fight, the game crashed. I had to do this fight a 3rd time with a couple of dead teammates just to get it to work. After some troubleshooting, I realized that normally this part of the game, Lavitz is labeled as a can't select, or as a character that I had to use, since we're going to go rescue Albert. I suspect that the game is constantly verifying that he's here, so for the remainder of the prison, I'm just going to keep him in my party just to be safe. The boss fight with Django goes well, and I beat him again, and thankfully this time the game doesn't crash after the fight. The final battle with Frugal is up the hall a little, and the first time I tried to do this, I got my ass kicked. Again, multi-boss battles are hard despite our powerful solo character. To make things even worse, I got confused and ended up dying since I switched up my inventory between the last couple of fights. So I put the panic guard back on and I hopped back into the fight. This fight was rough the second time around as well, just due to the frequency of attacks. They would all do an attack of their own, and then after that, they would all do a group attack. And Dart was taking all of these hits. The fight does have a little workaround, though, in the sense that you don't have to actually defeat the pets, because once Frugal's dead, they'll run, and you still get the same amount of experience points. It was funny to see Lavitz pop up and stab him, though, after the fight was done. Lavitz gets killed, and we're all sad for a little bit, and we mourn collectively for about 10 minutes as we click through dialogue. And after that, we get to head to Kazas, the final city in Disc 1. This area has a long tasker where we collect 3 stones to get an elevator to work, and it finishes with 3 consecutive boss fights, the first boss of which is the Sandora Elite, the same guy we fought back in Hoax. I sweep this guy without any issues whatsoever thanks to the magic stone freezing him for 3 turns. He's one of the few bosses that can actually be affected by it, so it's always worth using when you can. Kongol's next up, and thanks to the therapy ring, I can heal at a faster rate than he's able to do damage. The only exception is one of his attacks where he pins me up against a wall and then knocks me through it. But in any case, I'm able to do him in with about 12 turns without any problems. This brings me to the final boss of Disc 1, Emperor Duel. This fight is a race against the clock because he has an attack that he does somewhat regularly after he hits yellow, and it dishes out a can't combat insta-kill a status. So I have to beat him as fast as I can and hope to God that he doesn't pull off the move. During the fight, he does a lot of heavy-hitting moves, including one that actually looked a little bit funny because it's supposed to target 3 people. So he just slashes through the air. This is normally the most difficult battle in Disc 1 for the standard run of a game, and he's still doing the most damage I've seen in this run so far. But in the end, Dart's high level helps us, and we're able to beat him before he can one-shot us. So this was a really neat run. I had a good time with it overall. We can now answer a few questions, like can you beat Disc 1 with only Dart? And the answer is sort of. It's possible to do it, clearly, but the game will repeatedly have issues, and some parts of the game demand criteria to be met, such as having the party members active to allow a cutscene, and then having certain people in a fight, with like the Shirley instance. These issues didn't happen when I was expecting them to, though. Like, it happens almost at random. To my surprise, I was able to solo with just Dart the entire final city of the game without any crashes at all. I'm still up in the air whether or not I'll do Disc 2. I likely will eventually, just out of curiosity with what scenes give us issues. If you stuck around this long, thank you. I really appreciate you watching it. I put a lot of work into it, so thank you really, and have a nice day. Thank you. Bye.